Hello everyone. Well, it's been a while since my last video update on the Text Mesh Pro UGUI component, so I thought I'd take this opportunity to show you a few new things as well as get your feedback on some others. So what we've got here is a canvas with two Text Mesh Pro UGUI object. We're going to take a look at this first one. Here we can see that we have our rect transform in our scene. And basically we've got this yellow thing, which in the last video I described that was the margin. So sort of like a Word document, the rect transform boundaries defines the page, and basically the margin is your margin. And in this case, the margin is the primary driver of where the text lives inside of the rect transform. So when you use alignment functions, justified text or whatever, up, down, and so on and so forth. If I was to play, let me put it on the right side here. If I was to adjust the margin itself, then the text moves around. Now, the reason I added the margin was because of masking, clipping, and ellipses and all that stuff, and we'll look at that shortly thereafter. But the reason why I added that is if masking is defined, let's say, by the boundaries of the rect transform, and you want soft masking, then it becomes kind of confusing or challenging to figure out, well, should the softness be applied inside the rect transform or should it be outside? If it's outside, then does it make sense to have the text extend outside the boundaries of the rect transform? So I thought the masking boundaries would sort of be defined by the margin. So I'm still not clear. I know I want the margin, not sure how we want the behavior yet. So it's not really a technical thing, it's more an implementation question I'm going to have shortly. But anyway, that's why the margin's there. So moving on. So in a past video, I'd shown the auto sizing feature, but I didn't have the minimum and maximum, which the Unity text component does have. So I had to add that, plus you guys wanted it, so I threw it in. So what we're going to do is drop the font size to a 36 point. As you know, Text Mesh Pro uses sign distance field as its primary rendering technique. Although we support bitmap, I think sign distance field is so much better and much more flexible. So I'm going to show some of that. So in terms of auto sizing, if I click auto size, the minimum is 18, maximum is 72. If I hit auto size, it scales the font to basically match the size of our container. In this case, the size of our margin area. If I was to basically shrink this down, you can see that we expand to the maximum and shrink to the minimum. And we'll look at masking after. So that's all operational, which is kind of cool. But let's move on to something else, and we'll come back to this. So texturing. A while back, I had asked or requested that we get UV2 for the new canvas renderer, and Tim was super nice, and the guys at Unity, and they gave it to us. So here's why we wanted it. Just wanted to show it off a little bit. So what we're going to start with is we're going to start to, and I'm going to texture this and show why UV2 is cool. At the same time, I'm going to take advantage of this to show you why the sign distance field thing is really cool and what we can do to a font or an asset in real time. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to add an outline to this font. Actually, let's start with a shadow. So I'm going to turn on underlay, and underlay is a layer underneath the primary layer. So here I'm going to set an offset, and as you can see, the shadow kind of shows up. It's too soft right now, so I'm going to make it a little bit less transparent. Not soft, but too transparent. And next, I'm going to add some softness to it, and that should be pretty close. Actually, let me add more offset this way. Cool. Let's collapse that. We're done with it. Next, I want to add a stroke or an outline around our font, so I'm going to add an outline here. And as you can see, the outline sort of expands inwards and outwards from the edge of the font, so it kind of chews in a little bit into our font. So what we're going to do is we're going to dilate it, meaning we're going to grow it back to make up for what we just lost. Okay, there we go. Next, I'm going to enable beveling. And you can see we have right now an outer bevel. I could use an inner bevel, but let's stick to outer right now. I'm going to bump this up a little bit. I'm going to actually make it slightly round-ish. And we could play with the offset to make it appear rounder. Okay, good enough. Next, we're going to go to our lighting and add this here. We're going to make it a little bit brighter. I'm going to lower the reflectivity, actually increase it, and then make the highlights be a little bit more subtle. I'm going to tint this highlight. Let's go towards the orange world like this. And I'm going to tweak, we can adjust where the lighting's coming from a little bit. So that looks good enough. So now the next thing we're going to do is talk about UV2. So first thing I'm going to do is add a texture to the outline, because we can do that. And I'm going to pick a brush metal texture. Now we can't really see it because our outline is black. Now we've got our, that's a little bit too much. And now we need to go back and tweak our lighting a little bit. And let's play with this. That's better. Might still be a little bit too bright now. So we'll tweak it this way. Close enough. So now let's apply a texture to our face. I'm going to pick just a normal texture to show what's going on. So I'll pick this wood thing. Actually, bad example. I'll pick this UV, where is it sitting? It's right here. Okay, so this is, and let me go back to character. Okay, so what we've got is an ugly texture that basically shows the UV mapping. So right now we've picked our mapping options as character. So horizontally the texture is mapped on the character and vertically it's mapped on the character. So since not all characters are of the same height, the texture is mapped on each of them, but it doesn't necessarily align vertically. So you can see where the purple begins, it's not at the same spot. This is where, so we have full control over, we can map per character, per line, per paragraph, both horizontally and vertically. So what does that mean? If I skip ahead really fast, if I skip ahead and I use a cool image like a sci-fi planet like this, it basically means that I can say I want this for the whole line, and then we can see that we have the entire image spread, but vertically we're not aligned, which is why I'm going to say I want it per line, and now we can see this cool horizon line going through all of our text. And this is all, again, dynamic. I can go back here and change this to hello world, and now you can see that we just put that in there. So next step. So what we've got here is a little bit more about the auto sizing, and then we'll look at the masking stuff. So right now this object has auto sizing on, but we don't have word wrapping. So if I kick in word wrapping, it will then wrap the whole thing and try to maximize the size, which is what we have here. And again, the auto sizing is now working in conjunction with word wrapping. Okay, so that's pretty quick. So the next thing I want to show is I'm going to actually disable auto sizing, disable word wrapping, and actually shrink the size of our container just to show what I wanted. So the thing I'm trying to figure out is how we want or where we want the masking to kick in. And basically right now the masking is defined at the edge of the container, which is a rect transform, and then the softness is applied inwards, which means if I grab this margin and I get to the edge, you can see where the softness and the masking begins, and you can see where it happens over here. And if I was to take this up there, you can see it happening right there. And this, you know, for doing a scroll box and all that stuff, that's pretty handy, because inside of Text Mesh Pro you have the X and Y offset here that you can animate for your object. So you can make scrolling text and whatever stuff you want, which is pretty neat. But anyway, I digress there. So back to the masking. So in this case here, it feels kind of okay, right? The challenge, or the thing I'm not sure about, is, okay, so what if I grab the margin down here and I go here? Do we expect it to mask there? So I just don't know. I mean, for sure, if I was to grab this, whoops, wrong end. If I was to, I can't see it because it's yellow over yellow. If I was to grab this and go like this, I would expect the ellipses to show up. So basically this word here would be replaced by the 3 dots. So that makes sense. So I guess if that makes sense, then I guess the masking should occur at this point as well. So the question is, would then the word sizing be clipped completely? Would the ellipse show up? So I don't know. You guys let me know. From it, like I said, from a technical standpoint, it's not like it's challenging. It's just I'm not sure which behavior to put in place. Because then if the masking occurs with the margin, I guess when the text, if you were to put the margin outside like this, then it wouldn't be masked. So I don't know. So you guys let me know what you think. So anyway, so that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. And please let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching.